Just as promised this week, we provide an exclusive Bristol Bay Sockeye report as we are joined by Executive Director Andy Wink of the Bristol Bay Regional Seafood Development Association, and then we also provide our market outlook on the upcoming Sockeye Salmon season. On the line with us now from Bristol Bay, Alaska is Andy Wink, Executive Director of the BBRSDA, where we ask him a few questions on the upcoming Bristol Bay Sockeye season. Hey Andy, thanks for joining us here. With Bristol Bay anticipating its largest sockeye run of over 75 million fish, can you comment on what the forecast versus reality might look like, as this would mean Bristol Bay would potentially process up to 60 million sockeye this season? And could you also speak a little bit on the fish size as well?
Yeah, so the forecast suggests we might be looking at a substantial increase in supply for Alaska sockeye this year, but it will honestly be almost impossible to realize the harvest forecast of 60 million fish. Bristol Bay has never eclipsed a 45 million fish harvest, and while we expect there is some room to grow that this year, it's probably more likely that the bay's harvest comes in between 40 to 50 million fish. We are expecting a high percentage of younger age classes in this year's run again, so it's likely we'll see the average fish size remain small. Unfortunately, fish size is something that is really in Mother Nature's hands, but smaller fish size works great for steaks, it cooks faster, and the fillet sides tend to be about the right size for two people. So, it's not all bad.
With inflation and rising costs, can you speak to me of the ways these economic factors will affect Alaska's salmon season this year?
Yeah, Alaska's salmon industry is facing a lot of inflationary challenges, like a lot of other economic sectors. Labor is more expensive and harder to find. Shipping and fuel costs are way up. Although fuel costs generally hit lower volume fisheries worse than high volume fisheries. And even borrowing costs are going up. However, these are wild fisheries, and we don't have to contend with rising feed costs like salmon farmers do. So, all in all, there's simply more costs that must be passed along throughout the supply chain.
There seems to be some really great things coming out of the BBRSDA, such as the BBRSDA marketing program. Can you provide a little info on what this is for our viewers?
Yeah, so our Bristol Bay Sockeye marketing program has matured a lot since we launched it several years ago. And although we've done promotions in over 3,000 retail stores across the US and Canada, many in the industry may not be aware of everything that we have to offer. So for those selling Bristol Bay Sockeye, we can fund in-store retail promotions that are supported by digital and social media marketing. Plus, we have an ever-growing media library of assets with recipes, videos, fisherman profiles, photos, cooking tips, and a whole lot more. So I'd encourage anyone looking to sell Bristol Bay Sockeye to check out our website, www.marketing.bristolbaysockeye.org, and you can learn more about how we can help.
Alaska is often taken as synonymous with sustainability. Can you share some thoughts or information on Alaska's carbon footprint?
Yeah, so Alaska Sockeye Salmon often has a lower carbon footprint than people might expect. People probably often think of farmed seafood, or especially plant-based proteins, as being better for the environment. But the reality is that the feed and the raw materials for those foods take up a lot of fresh water and require huge amounts of energy to produce. So plus farm salmon are usually shipped via plane around the world, and that creates a really high amount of carbon emissions per pound. So in contrast, wild Bristol Bay Sockeye are usually frozen near the point of harvest, shipped around the world via barge or truck in bulk, and they require no fresh water or human-made feedstocks to grow. So based on the results from a forthcoming study by the University of Washington, they found that a sockeye salmon burger actually has about half the carbon footprint of a plant-based burger.
Thanks, Andy. I hope Bristol Bay and the fishing industry all over the state of Alaska have a safe and successful season.
Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate all you guys do to get the seafood industry information out into the world.
Moving on to the market segment, and at present, the market continues to be short on sockeye. Current pricing may, however, actually be higher than what the market is willing to pay, as we're not seeing much sales activity for sockeye at these higher price levels, even with the low number of offers in the marketplace. As for the outlook, in talking to processors, they are thinking the price of sockeye will come out of the gate just as they left off, which was high. We are also anticipating small fish again this year, which typically results in lower yields, but could also lower the wholesale price as there will be a predicted surplus. In my opinion, sockeye fillets are getting too pricey for the consumer. Rumor has it that there is an oversupply of last year's fillets that will be dumped into the market soon. Japan will be a power to watch this year, as they will not be buying Russian sockeye and will be aggressive in securing new season Alaskan sockeye. With that said, Russian sockeye is going to be a problem for Russian processors this year, as very little typically goes to China and the USA will absorb none. Russian sockeye goes to Korea and Japan, and both countries will not be purchasing from Russia for the foreseeable future. Our recommendation on the sockeye salmon market is to have a buyer beware mindset on how much volume you purchase and to also perform your due diligence on quality this year. We are still trying to get our pulse on how much 2021 supply still remains in the freezers, and if there ends up being some overstock, this could mean cheaper but older product to hit the market. Keep tuned in to upcoming episodes as we continue providing a pulse report on the summer salmon season. If you're not already, be sure to subscribe to our 3-minute market insight using the sign-up form below to keep tuned in to all the upcoming market insights. Thank you for joining me for the Tradex Foods 3-minute market insight. This has been Robert Ryerson reminding you to stay safe, buy smart, and eat more seafood.